Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next video in the series. I know it's been a bit of a gap since the last one, but things have been going a bit odd here, but we won't go into that in this video. You'll also notice that my ugly mug is absent from this video, and that's because, to add insult to injury, my webcam decided to pack up. A few of you are no doubt cheering my webcam for sparing you my face, but hey ho, I won't take that personally. Now, since film was usurped by digital photography, an awful lot of us are taking an awful lot of pictures. We're taking pictures of all sorts. Where we go, ourselves, our lunch, and we need to process and handle those images. Now, Linux, like other operating systems, if you hook up a device or even a mobile phone by a USB cable, it should be able to see the medium and allow you access to the files. I think we've handled USB before, but just going to insert that one. That's an SD card out of one of my cameras. And you'll notice we've got CR2s and JPEGs here, and that's because with most of my decent cameras I ask them to take both a RAW and a JPEG at the same time, and that's been a habit of mine for many years. Now, there are three basic levels of image processing in my book. One is the simple single image process and simple things like that. We've got the next step up is album processing, which is sorting all your images, and even batch processing. And the third is professional, decent picture editing, a la Photoshop. So, you can normally handle these any way that you like. Personally, if media is on a card or a mobile phone, I'd tend to copy it off the mobile phone to something in the pictures folder before starting to work on it. And that's because not all storage is treated as storage. Some of it is treated as stream access. So some you can actually access the files as if they were files on a local hard drive, for example. On others, like typically mobile phones, you can't. So I typically think that it's good practice to try and copy them to the local media before you actually start to do any editing. Now, let's go into Bournemouth Air Festival, I think. No, that's just PEFs. Sheffield Park, because that's got some JPEGs in it. Well, indeed, I could do that on anything, I suppose. Right. You'll note that I organise my folders in reverse date order with a name. And that's because over the years I've used different software and systems for digging in to my pictures, because as you know there's EXIF information in there which has details on the date and time that it was taken, and even the location and bits and pieces like that. But I found it not always to be accurate, and indeed over the many years that I've been working with digital photography, I had not the first digital cameras that came out, but within the you know, it wasn't long after, even though the resolution was absolutely lousy and it could only take a very small handful of pictures, I found that the pictures outlast the software that I use, and I spent more time having to reinsert images and having to resort them in different software than anything else, pretty much. So it made sense to actually organize the folders and name the folders at the root level, so that it doesn't matter what software I'm using to access them. So I can get at them very easily by knowing what's going on. And that has stood me in good stead over the decades, to be honest. So, simple image editing. There's quite a number of different pictures bits of software. I tend to stick with a few. Gwenview is one of them. There's a few others that aren't actually listed here, but yeah. So Gwenview is the one which, if we go into the preferences and the preferred applications, where are we? Photos, image viewer. No, we'll change that to Gwenview. You can see there's quite a number of different ways of handling images, and that's, you know, image view is one of the defaults. I use Gwenview, and I'll show you why in a minute. There's also Pix on here. You've got Ocular. You can load them up in a web browser. You've got Image Magic, GNU, which we'll come to later. That's basically like level 3. And you know, there's a number of different ways, but I'm going to switch this to Gwenview, so it's a good job that I came in here to check. So we're going to load this in Gwenview. You'll note that this CR2 is a raw image file. I could also use the JPEG, but I mean, what the heck, we're just going to use a raw. Note that the standard file browser, which is Nemo in this case, cannot thumbnail the raw images. It can only thumbnail the JPEGs and others like GIFs and others of that kind. It can't handle the raw images. However, once you start to get into the applications themselves, they are able to handle them. And you can see Gwenview here. Gwenview has a browse mode, and you can see that browse mode is capable of reading the raw image files. The color depth on some of them, it sometimes can't read the color profiles. That's not the right way of putting it, but we'll come to that later. So as you can see, we've got a browse mode in here. It can handle all the raw images as if, you know, it can just handle them. If we go back into pictures and go into this, which is a PEF RAW from the Pentax camera, as you can see, it can handle those as well. So there you go. But here we are in Sheffield Park. And one of the things you can do with the images, one thing that I usually do a lot with images, is you put them up on the internet, like Facebook or Twitter or something like that. So I need to process the images quickly in order to put them up, or indeed send them by email. So let's take this lower lake image. Now this, as you can see by the top, is 1200 by 800. In fact, that's they'd normally come off the camera in 6000-ish. Let's take a look at this, and we'll just grab one off here. Copy. Well, indeed, I might as well show you this one. Paste. I normally have a folder called temporary, so if I'm working on pictures that I know I'm not going to need again, I'll just put them in the temporary folder, and then every now and then I'll just empty the temporary folder because I know that I will not want those images again. So we're going to load this up, and I'm going to go through, as you can see, this is 6000 by 4000. So I want to prepare this for uploading to social media. So what I can do is I've got a number of common options in here. Some of them are crop and resize, and also rotate left and right, and you've also got mirror and flip. You've also got edit tags. There's no tags on these, but hey ho. So that's typically how it comes on. You've got media information. So you've got the basic EXIF information up there. It was a 40th of a second. There was no flash, and that's the image size, that's the name. Then you've got more information, file time, file size, no focus points used, aperture was f9, I'm down as the artist, camera info, all the rest of that stuff, so that you can read it straight out of Gwenview. You don't have to fire up another application. I mean, typically on some operating systems, you've got to load a specific application in order to get at this stuff. No, you can get at it all from Gwenview. Now, if I wanted to rotate it, I could, but typically the thing I will do is crop. So I can very easily just crop the image straight away. So there we go, that's cropped. And then I will also resize it. And typically if I'm uploading to social media, I'll resize to 1800 on the longest axis. Keep aspect ratio, of course. and boom, that's done. You can see at the top we're now 1800 by 1752, and then I can save that out. And then I can go onto my social media site and upload it, or my emails, and just send it. I know that that is now a reasonable size, file size to send by email or to load up to the internet without clogging anything up. I don't know. I don't even know if you've actually got mass filters here in Gwenview. I don't think we can. Properties, file options. No, file type options, no. You can't do the mass stuff in here. We'll do that in another platform, don't worry. But for the odd image, as you can see, you can get at the images, even the raw files, and you can process them quite easily and quickly. One of the things that you will find is if you process another image, for example, which is raw, it won't know typically how to save that. So we're just going to do a bit of blah here. Nothing special, just blah blah. We're going to crop it. If I tried to save, it would say it can't. It would say it can't, and it would prompt me to use another format like bitmap, JPEG. So it can handle quite a number. It can handle PPM, XBM, as well as the usual JPEG, PNG, and TIFF, and BMP. So it can handle quite a number of file formats just off the cuff. You can actually do a fair chunk of stuff in Gwenview if you just want to process an image. The single image, and away you go. Done. You can also work on multiple images at the same time, like if I wanted to do the same things to others. I could use crop, resize, blah blah, crop, resize, blah blah, and then you've got a save all button up here, so you haven't got to do everything in the same type. You've also got the usual thing to preserve the aspect ratio while you're dragging stuff around. Advanced settings, so you can use width, height, and the rest of it. You got all that stuff. It's pretty powerful for a basic image editor, and it's pretty smooth. And you can just browse to whatever you want, blah blah, and start working on it, save as, whatever you want to do. You've also got some share and send options from here. Pretty much immediately, so you don't even have to open the other applications and drop them in. You can just you've got options here to send the images straight from there, straight from Gwenview. It's pretty powerful. If you wanted to record a rating on it, you could. That would then be stored in Gwenview's file database, which is kept here. I think if we view hidden files, oh, they're shown already. So where is Gwenview's files kept? I don't think they are at the moment. Let's just try and save that. One image modified. Blah blah. So those have now got ratings. Go to the one that we've modified. We'll cancel that. We'll undo it. So that's not modified anymore. And are there any ratings files? No, but it'll have that rating, and if we try and browse them, I'm not sure if any of those ratings are visible at this point. You may have to set view settings, configure Gwenview, image view, here we go, horizontal software, vertical, advanced, remember the folders and URLs, general, oh well. It's in there somewhere, but has it kept it? What was the images that I was actually... Oh, there we go. You can see on the left-hand side that there's the rating. Yeah, you can see the left-hand side. And you can edit the tags as well from there. So if you wanted to use ratings and tags, you could do. As I've said before, I've used so many different pieces of software that using the ratings within that software... you know, all you got to do is potentially move the image to somewhere else and you could lose the rating. I don't know. In fact, let's try that. That's actually the third picture in there. Let's cut it from there and drop it there and see what happens. It's now gone from there. If we put it in there, oh, it's kept the rating. It's smarter than some other systems. So GwenView is pretty powerful, and it's pretty off the cuff. Do most of the stuff you needed to, and you've got full screen and yada yada. It's pretty powerful for basic picture editing that you're going to want to do before sending stuff to the internet or something like that. Right, there is one other thing, and that is open with, and I will, if I'm printing some pictures, I will open them with Image Viewer. Now, Image Viewer isn't as powerful. As you can see, it can do the usual stuff. It can rotate, it can enlarge or shrink. That's just simple zoom, show the image at 1:1, you know, and I don't think it can do any cropping or anything like that, or any resizing, but it's pretty good at printing. So if I want to print something, oh yeah, I discovered the printer, didn't it? And I've got the page set up to go large. Image settings, job, where is it? Color advanced, no, it must be one-sided, all sheets, orientation, paper size, paper source, paper type, where the heck is it? Is it under general? Somewhere under here is one of the options to actually print, to expand the image. It's in there somewhere, but that's what I use, because I typically find that Image Viewer is better at printing images, at taking a smaller image and fitting it to the print, to the print page and filling the whole page, whereas I have had a few hit and misses with that with GwenView. So that's pretty much that. You've also got other abilities here. You do have drawing. Did we cover drawing in the Office side of things? Oh no, it's the first time you've used it. Would you like to read what's new? Nope. So we can actually use drawing to draw on top of this in a very basic manner. You know, is there a freehand? Yeah, there's a freehand. So if we had an image and we wanted to draw things in, or draw attention to something, we could do that and then save it back out again. We could do that. Discard. Is that actually available in GwenView? I'm not sure that it is. View, browse view, no. Share. You do have open with, so you can edit it, and when you're finished, you can send it to drawing, and then from within, and then do your drawing on top of that, and then save. This file format doesn't support transparent colors. Default color, replace, and that should now, if I refresh that, has the drawing on it. But we can obviously undo that, and save. So yeah, it can handle the transparency drawing on top of it in different layers. So that's the basic image editing, and that's typically a lot of what I use day to day, because most of the time I'm just wanting to take images and put them up on the internet, so it's very simple editing and cropping that I want to do. Next stage is something more powerful, and that is called digicam. Now digicam is, I think it's only Linux. I don't think it's cross-platform. This shouldn't be the first time that I've run digicam on here. Do nothing, blah blah. You can just save all the defaults. Now what this is going to do is it's more powerful. This is digicam, and now, as you can see on the bottom, it's actually doing a scan of various bits and pieces. Welcome to digicam 6.4, and you can see the pictures folder. And it's scanned all the pictures, it's scanning them in for the thumbnails, and it's keeping those in a database. Again, I don't think anything translates, so I'm pretty much sure, so that if you look at this one, which we actually starred in GwenView, it has not translated to digicam. You know, and that's one of the reasons why I don't do a lot of stuff. Now, digicam is a fair bit more powerful. As you can see, you can actually say what you want to see on here. Settings, configure digicam, views, and you can see what you want to see. Geolocation indicator, anything. You've got a lot of power here that you can see. So we've got various odds and sods. These are just the defaults, so it's giving us the format and all that sort of stuff. And for the most of it, it's relatively straightforward. But it's real. You can see the metadata, pull out if you want, other properties. You can see the color, histograms, map if there was geolocation on there, captions if there were any, basic properties of the image, all the rest of that, any versions that are there. On the left hand side you've got tags if you wish to tag them, and as I've said before, I typically don't use tags because they're only valid in the application itself. Any labels that you want to attach, dates, because they are sorted by dates, timeline, unit, month, blah blah. You know, in order to do this, it's also scanned the metadata. So you've got these options. You can search for various, fingerprints. There aren't any fingerprints in there. You can search for similarities once you've fingerprinted the images. Again, you've got map on here, people, if you've got any faces in there, yada yada blah. But let's go back to the albums. So you've got all those options in there as well. It is a bit more powerful, but where it really comes into its own is batch processing. Now let's say I want to take all these CR2s and translate them to JPEGs. I can select all of them and I can say, okay, batch queue manager, add to current queue or new queue or existing queue. You do have rotate, and I think I can rotate everything left, right, or the rest of it. Yep. And let's just rotate those back. So it works with a lot of images. Damn, I just selected left again. Let's do left. Sorry about this. You can also put in different albums, by the way. You can add in different albums, settings, configure digicam, I think. Under there you've got collections, and you can actually add collections, multiple collections, collections on removable media or network shares, and you can handle those and monitor the albums for external changes if you wanted to set that up. That'll tell you where the database is, and it's currently using an SQLite for that. You've got all sorts of odds and sods in here, plugins, but we're not using the plugins, we're just sticking to the basics. So as you can see, you can place them onto the light table if you want. I don't tend to use the light table that much, but I do use the batch queue manager. So we're going to add to existing queue because I don't think there's a queue in there. So you can see a lot of the stuff, it works on batches, queue number 1. Now this is pretty powerful when it actually gets into the queues. I normally go straight into the queues. So batch queue manager, there we go. This is the batch queue manager. So you got a number of queues. I've actually got a number of queues in here. I've already done this by the look of it, but we'll kill off number 2. Remove that queue. So we have queue number 1. We have our images in here. They are in the queue, and what we've got is targets. We can either use the original album, or we can specify another album to put the files into, album/folder. You got options over the file renaming. Use the original file names, or you can use custom file names if you want. You got behavior, perform raw demosaicing, store as a different name if the target file exists. You got options like that. So yeah, you got the demosaicing. You've got control over that. I typically don't go into here. The defaults normally do fine for me, unless I'm doing something like HDR off a raw file or something, fake HDR, stuff like that. So anyway, so you can see that, and we have the tools. Let's just shift these around a bit. See, we have base tools, workflow and history here, and you have assigned tools up here. And what we can do is all sorts. Now, what have we got? We've got a number of things. Color, you can convert it to 16 bits, invert, white balance, channel mixer, color balance, BCG correction, convert to 8 bits, color auto correction, color profile conversion. You've got a load of enhancements, transforms, decorates, filters, and converts. You've also got metadata alterations, remove metadata if you want, time adjust, all sorts of odds and sods. Why would you want to remove metadata? Well, if your camera has recorded geographic locations on some things, and you don't want that geographic location on, then you can remove that. There is another problem these days in that if somebody drags a picture off the internet and they know that they've got to pay the owner for publishing rights, they can say, oh dear, there's no metadata in here, I can't contact the owner. Oh dear. So there's that sort of argumentative crap going on. But some of the usual ones that I use are resize. I'm just going to drag that in and then convert to JPEG. So preset lengths, you can choose from a preset length of the longest axis, or you can use a custom length or a percentage. And there you go. We're going to use a medium of 800 pixels. No, we can just use big, 1024. So convert to JPEG, you've got a bit of control over the quality here. So for every assigned tool, you can adjust all odds and sods in here. So we're just going to go 42290, hey presto. So this is the queue of assigned tools which is going to go through for each image. And we've got quite a few images in here, so we're just going to run this queue, and that is now going to start on things. And you can see the progress down the bottom, 4%, 6%, not too bad. So you can see the kind of power and control you've got here, especially when it comes across batch image editing. By the way, whilst we're doing that, I'll show you something else on this. Within Linux, you can do batch renaming. If you select a load of things and say rename, you have this that pops up, and you can do a find and replace on all the files that are going to be renamed, and then batch rename them. So you can rename extension only, entire file name, replace, remove, insert, or change case. Yeah. So even the basic rename function under Nemo is pretty powerful. That's on 37% now. And as you can imagine, all of these are pretty high, pretty large images. So we're going to see what happens as a result of these. Sheffield Park, that's the file it's currently working on, as you can see. Blah blah. So they're going down from about 36, 37, 34, 36 meg down to about 300k. So if you've taken a load of pictures and you wanted to email them to someone, you can immediately do this without having to ramp your way through all this lot. So that is finished, I think. Is that all finished? Yeah, so we can close the batchkey manager. And there you are. Everything has its JPEG and is now much smaller. And there you go. You could also use things to change. As you saw, there were tools to do various things to the color and all the rest of that jazz. You had control over how it was going to be. And you can see the JPEG is actually coming out a little brighter than the raw file, because the raw file has a lot more information, and in JPEG processing it's brought that out. but you can see that this is a richer image as opposed to the JPEG, which just looks a bit flatter, if you know what I mean. But you know, for large processing of images, you can easily do that in digicam. There are a few other things. You can put stuff into a slideshow, and I think you can also export that slideshow. So if we go into Bournemouth Air Festival and slideshow, what's it going to do? Can you export? As you can see, you've got loads of export options here, and there should be a slideshow option in here. Selection. Whoops, there we go. That started the slideshow. There should be a way to actually export the slideshow. Export. Album. Tools. Create video slideshow. There you go. So you can use all those and create a video slideshow just automatically if you wanted. This include all the one. Now that is misleading. The first one is top of the last one on the bottom. It should do all of them. Oh no, it won't, because we actually only got one selected. That's why. Tools. Create video slideshow. There we go. That's better. And you should have options. Where are the options? Add, save. Oh, select the image file to load. You can adjust the order. Next. It'll take us a few seconds. There we go. Number of frames by image, video standard that you want it to come out in, video type. So you've got control of the resolution there, Blu-ray, video bitrate, codec. Effect while displaying the images, so you can have a bit of a zoom out, zoom in, pan left to right, yada yada, or random. I think, yeah, random. Transition between images, and again you've got random there as well as all the various options. Duration 5 seconds by item. I don't know where you can actually adjust that, but there you go. Store as a different name, blah blah. Open in player internal, and there you go. It will. Ooh, heck! Oh yeah. We're going to cancel that because we don't need to do that. But that will create a nice video slideshow video for you. What else have you got? You got a light table. We've had you've create a panorama, so you can create a panorama of images. Obviously, they need to be. This will stitch them into the panorama. These are not panoramic images of the same thing. But if you've taken a load of still images stood from the same position all around you, then the panorama tool can make a panorama for you. And you can blend stacked images, send by mail from here, share with DLNA. Never done that. Find duplicates, that's very useful. If you've got a lot of images, you can find the duplicates. You've got a color managed view in here. Oh, what else haven't you got? There's massive stuff. You can write metadata to selected files, reread metadata from selected files, edit the geolocation, edit the metadata. Edit metadata of that item. So you've got caption information in there, date, time, so you can just edit the damn thing. Yeah. So, yeah. You got all that stuff in there. You can just edit the thing. Edit the metadata. Brilliant. What is the light table? I've never really used the light table before. Drag and drop an image here. Embedded JPEG. 33 items on the light table. Never really used a light table. I think this must be for comparison. God knows. Pass. You'd have to look that one up because I'm not au fait with light tables. So yeah, you can import To save yourself a lot of grief, you can import from devices using digicam. I tend to create the folders myself. You can import from Google Photos, from a scanner, from SmugMug, remote storage. It's got a lot of powerful stuff in here that you can use. And this is what I use when I'm actually managing my personal image collection, which spans quite a number of decades. Yeah. So yeah, scan for faces, tag manager, album. Yeah, you've got all this stuff that's in here. So that is digicam. Let's just wait for that to close, sort itself out, I think. Or did I actually? Oh, no, there you go. Now, the last one is actually GIMP. So I'll open that with GIMP. This is the serious piece of kit. GNU Image Manipulation Program. Now they're trying to rename it because GIMP has connotations elsewhere, shall we say. Now this is GIMP in docked mode. Now you can take these tools and have them floating if you wish, which is handy if you've got multiple monitors, because you can drag the tools off to other monitors. View, is it? Somewhere in here. Somewhere. Tools, selection tools, paint tools, Windows, toolbox, dockable dialogues. Yeah, you can, single window mode. Boom, there you go. Turn off single window mode and hey presto, you got the tools that will operate independently. So you can put the tools on one window while using the one monitor, using the other monitor to see this in all its glory, the image that you're editing. So we're not going to do that. We've currently got zoom of 33, so we'll adjust that to 100. So you can go up, down, all the rest of it. You've got selections. It's basically the version of Photoshop. So if you want, now GIMP is available on Windows at least, and I think also on Mac. So if you're after a free tool to use to do serious image editing, then this is your puppy. If you don't want to buy Photoshop, that is. Because Photoshop mostly these days is where do you go? Now you can do an awful lot within GIMP. It's very powerful, extremely powerful, but like anything of power, it takes an awful lot of learning curve. But there's a lot of resource out there. Learn to use GIMP. What happened there? GIMP tutorials. There's a load of tutorials on gimp.org. There's complete tutorials for beginners, the basics tutorials, GIMP 101. There are plenty of tutorials out there for GIMP. Shed loads of the things. So if you're, because it's multi-platform and because you can do so much with it and because it's free, I think it's worthwhile putting the effort into learning it. Down on the bottom right here, as you can see, we've got layers, and I'm going to create a new layer. Okay, what layer have I created? That, judging by that, is a transparent layer, but you've got alpha layers, you can cut and paste and all the rest of it. You've got power selections, you've got fuzzy select tools. Oh, of course, because I'm on the wrong layer, aren't I? Duh. Fuzzy select, which you can control the power of, the threshold, blah blah. If I take the threshold there, that should help. I didn't help myself out there at all. Yeah, let's just undo all that. But you've got all sorts on here. You've got Oh, what can I show you? Good grief! You've got all the brushes, layers. Ooh, color masking, the alpha layer. Yeah, locks, shapes, selections, inverted selections. Copy. Let's put that on that layer. You know, where do I even start? Where do I even start? This damn thing is just so powerful. I mean, I've done so much in here. Healing, all sorts. In fact, one thing that I'm going to try and do, if I can, maybe, and perhaps I should have done this in the first place. Close that and discard the changes. And what I will do is bring these into here. Now, actually, those are the TIFFs. So what I did was I had an album, Rondo Veneziano, Venice in Peril. You can see that large mark down there. Also, a few other, this next one there, that was the other side, and I needed to bring them in and sort them out. And indeed, you can see the finished result there of what was done at the end of it. You can still see the mark down the middle where I was working on them, but the whole thing came together quite nicely. And that is actually, if I bring it up to 100%, you should see the level of detail that's in here. That is a one-on-one of the image. So as you can see, it's a very big, it came in as very big scans, very big image. In fact, what's that doing down there? Okay, let's sort that out. Well, I'll sort that out on the other machine. But basically what I can do is show you, here we go. This size is pretty big, 6,620 by 4704, just this. So pretty much some of the first things you end up doing is zooming in and finding a clear line in order to bring them back to the horizontal. And where is it? This is actually a later version than the one I'm currently using, so I've got to try and find the tools. That's clone, that's smudge, crop. Where the heck is it? Must be under layer, image, rotate, transform, arbitrary rotation. That's the one. So what happens is you use the option on here where you use guides, line spacing, and we'll adjust the line spacing a little. So you then have, because we're going to use reverse, we're going to use corrective. So we're actually going to use corrective, and in order to do that you then adjust the lines until these lines are fully matching the original. So there we go. This line is as close as I can get it. Well, I'm being a bit haphazard at the minute. To the original, which is a minus 0.04 degree rotation. Let's just get that a bit more accurate if I can. Sometimes the media that you're doing isn't flat to begin with, so you're not going to get an accurate rotation. So there we go, and I hit rotate. That's going to rotate, and that is now going to be in the level. So I can then do the same with the other one, and then I can just make myself a large image and cut and paste the two together and rotate them onto the same thing. When it comes to these sort of things, you've got a wide variety of tools that are available to you to use. We'll just go in for a couple of 100% on this, 400%. Obviously we've got to get rid of this, so we'll probably use the clone tool, and you can vary the size. You got aspect ratio, angle, spacing, yada yada, hardness and force, and we'll just use that. I'll just clone that over there, and you can see it start to vanish. blah blah, because it's cloning and blending in. So if we start bringing that out, you'll see how that has started to vanish. We'll just need to do a little bit more in there, and there you go. It started to just blend in and vanish. And because we're going up at the same time, it's just going to clone all that in, and then we can just do this side, clone in from there. Whoops. As you can see, I'm being a bit haphazard on this. It's always better to clone on top of an original colour. And there you go. You can just start doing these sorts of things. Cloning, healing, getting rid of things. And eventually things will just vanish and blend in and all the rest of that jazz. Not quite on that. Not quite on that. Not quite on there. That's close. That's close enough for government work. So there you go. That is how you can start doing these things. And you've pretty much got to go through the whole thing. But in cases like this with the people, you've got to be a bit more careful, because you're not just doing a colour, you've got art and various things going on top of that. So you can't just blindly grab a piece from there and do it all over there. You've got to be a bit more careful about it. And that is basically how it is done. It is a very powerful piece of kit. Very powerful piece of kit. Indeed, how did I actually do that in the end? There you go. That's that section. You've got to be quite a bit more careful, and in some cases make up what isn't there. That was a reuse of that in order to put it there and make something of it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And we've got that. Oh, it's not there. It must have been a video glitch, so it's not there. I thought I would have seen that if it had actually been on the original one that I was working on, but hey ho. So there you go. Those are pretty much the three major image levels. Simple, easy, on-the-fly alteration. Then you've got your storage and browsing your collection. And then you've got very powerful single image manipulation in quite a lot of detail with some very powerful tools. And not only that, it's all free. You can't beat that for a price. Yeah. GIMP has been around for many years. There's an awful lot of tutorials on it, a lot of videos, and it's powerful. It can do an awful lot of stuff. I think we went through the Office side of things with... we definitely went in... I must have gone through Draw. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went through Draw in an earlier video. But yeah, you've got quite a bit of power, quite a bit of ability. It's just knowing which tools to use, what your limits are within them, and yeah, it's not bad. You've got quite a lot of options for no money. And with GIMP being multi-platform, you can use it on Windows as well. It's a no-brainer. I mean, why, with all that Adobe is doing to raise prices and force you into subscription models and all the rest of it, it's just as easy to use something like this and throw a few throw a bit of money now and then at the creators and the maintainers through whatever platform they've got. Buy them coffee now and then, subject to how you feel. But yeah, there's options there, and it's quite powerful what you can do. And yeah, that's about it for an introduction to picture editing and handling on Linux. Ciao for now.